I'm Josh Ray. I'm the CEO and founder of Blackwire Labs. OODAcon, to me, is probably the best conference as it relates to emerging technologies and cybersecurity from a content standpoint and from a networking standpoint. I've been in the field for 25 plus years. I know you can't tell by just looking at me, but it's been a little while. But by far, one of the best conferences as it relates to quality of speakers, quality of folks that come from a networking standpoint. Every year I'm humbled because there's so many smart people that just, I learn something every single time I come here. And it's kind of rare that you're able to do that kind of at an industry conference of this type. So it's a can't miss opportunity for me.
That's great. So the work that you're doing at Blackwire, can you tell us a little bit about the work that you're doing and the kind of challenges that you are helping your customers overcome, particularly in today's evolving threat landscape?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'd say for the past 2 decades at least, the industry at large has been really struggling with this notion of a cybersecurity skills deficit. It's actually considered kind of the poverty line of the cybersecurity poverty line as it's kind of known in the industry. And there's been a lot of tools and a lot of different capabilities that have been out there that have helped, but nobody's really kind of addressed it head on. So when my co-founders and I, along with Matt, were kind of thinking about, what do we want to do? Like, what are the problems that Blackwire Labs wants to solve? We kind of took that cybersecurity skills, challenge head on, and it coincided very much with, I wouldn't say the advent of Gen AI, but I would say the commercial use of Gen AI to be able to develop a capability in doing so. So what we've been able to create for our clients and for industry is essentially a cybersecurity advisor, large language model. And it's not just a cybersecurity model for, the SOC or for, say, a CTO or CISO. It's really a cross-discipline capability. So think about it, Amber, as somebody that's got about 10 years of experience and can cross all different disciplines within cybersecurity, supporting your CTO or CISO, all the way down to your security engineer. But in doing so and kind of having to be able to unlock that capability, it kind of led us to some other challenges that we directly had to address, specifically around enterprise adoption for AI. So we think about the trust component, we think about the data security component, the explainability, and the proneness of models to hallucinate. So in order to really kind of drive the adoption and to help really kind of address the first problem, we had to address the second problem as well too. And we've kind of developed some unique capabilities around both expertise and trust in order to ensure that our clients, when they get the output of our platform, Blackwire AI, it's completely trusted, verifiable. You can reference all of the outputs, specifically with the sources. And then we've created this technology called TrustWire AI, which immutably stores the knowledge base and the training sets on the blockchain. So when you talk about convergence of these two kind of capabilities, both expertise, the use of AI, cybersecurity, and the blockchain, it's kind of interesting how they've all kind of coalesced, for us here over the development of the last year or so.
Convergence being the theme of the conference today, how do you see these, types of convergence impacting, reshaping industry and the work that you do in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, it's completely transformative. Like, we've seen, use cases where we've had a small health tech company that's down in Florida. We were working with the CTO and he was trying to bring his product to market, just as an example. He's got 2 or 3 IT folks, maybe one security person on staff. And in order to overcome some of the compliance and regulations things that he had to do from a HIPAA standpoint, he was able to use our platform and basically, saved him about $30,000 in just out-of-the-box consulting fees. So just speed to market in a lot of those instances. But then you take state and local organizations, right, which are heavily targeted, very much, in the sights of both cyber criminals and, nation states. And for us to be able to help kind of that state and local, that Fortune 500 to 5,000, is really where we feel that we're called to, support that part of the mission. So when you think about the convergence of AI in cybersecurity, for us, it's, all about kind of two things. One is the expertise, right? You need to have kind of that trusted expertise, that knowledge set, that is vetted by kind of a third-party set of organizations. So, we've created a cybersecurity community of experts, which is an actual organization that vets our training sets, that helps us identify, net new prompts that are interesting, validates the outputs, and then again, as I mentioned before, to be able to use something like the blockchain and ZK proofs and things like that to cryptographically ensure the integrity and the auditability of that data, I think is potentially a game changer, and not just for cybersecurity, but when you think about how can we extend that capability and that technology out to other industries, anybody that really wants to be able to train on trusted data, and for them to be able to provide that direct, line of sight from the output that's being created back to the source material, back to the fact that it's cryptographically secured, I think will help quite a bit with, this notion of explainability and data security that the industry really struggles with. And if we can get that right, at least over the next 2 to 3 years, I think it'll go a long way to, helping to realize the full benefit of things like AI and provide, a viable market for, other blockchain types of technologies as well.
It sounds like you heard some really interesting things today that maybe gave you a lot of food for thought. Are there any kind of key things that stood out to you today, or key takeaways that you're going to take with you and apply to your work?
Yeah, no, every time I come away from this conference with at least 5 or 6 pages of notes, right? But, the things that we spoke about today, one, gave us confidence that we were kind of on the right track, at least with our approach to how we were approaching both, trust and AI, as well as kind of expert data to kind of drive the skills challenge that, has been kind of plaguing our industry for a couple of decades. But I think more specifically, a lot of the conversations around where AI can be used from both a defensive and an offensive standpoint as well, I think is one of those things that, really solidified for me the need to, help these organizations, because, the federal government obviously is going to need this type of capability, but downstream in the supply chain, I think it's really where it's going to be most impactful, especially from a national security standpoint. The only other thing that I would add is really just, a special thank you to both Bob and Matt, for the support that they've given us, kind of incubating at the Hack Factory, being able to, leverage and have access to the OODA network as a kind of a proprietary data source to help us train some of our models. And just that continuous collaboration, friendship, and mentorship has meant a lot to us.